Hello, once again, and welcome to another edition of Turbo Delphi Demos. I'm Nick Hodges, the Delphi Product Manager, and today we're going to continue on working on our TurboPad application, our Notepad clone. But today we're going to start moving a little past Notepad and add a little functionality that Notepad doesn't have, namely a toolbar. Notepad is pretty notorious for being a very Spartan application, and with a menu and an edit box, and that's about it. So right now we're going to spice things up a little bit with TurboPad, because it is TurboPad after all, not just plain old Notepad. And we're going to add a toolbar. And the cool thing is, adding the toolbar will be very, very easy because of actions, because we can use actions to hook up the functionality of the buttons on the toolbar. And we really won't have to write any code to add the toolbar, because the actions have abstracted out the concept of what each individual action does, and actions can be linked to multiple user interface items. Right now we've got them hooked up to menus, but here in a minute we're going to hook them up to toolbar buttons. So here we go. Ready? Tool palette. We're going to click on it, search for a good old toolbar, and the toolbar will place itself right up in between the menu and the edit box here, and it will allow us to add tool buttons by right-clicking on it and selecting New Button. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select add a bunch of buttons to match the 1, 2, 3, 4 items on our edit menu. It looks like we have 2 exit buttons. We'll have to fix that. So I'm going to add 4 buttons total. Right-click, New Button, New Button, New Button. Basically, I'm going to select each button, and I'm going to assign to it a action. So the first one we're going to assign is New Action. Then we're going to assign the File Open action, and then we're going to select the Save action here. And then finally, the last one we're going to select will be a File Save As button. Next, we're going to put a little separator in there, and then we can work on the other menus a little bit later. Now, these buttons are kind of boring. They have nothing on them, and in fact, if we run the application, you'll notice that you don't even actually see the buttons until you slide over them with the mouse. So what we want to do is we want to come up with some images that we can add onto these buttons. And actually, the cool thing is when we add them onto the buttons, we're actually going to be adding them onto the individual actions, and thus they'll show up in the menus as well. Now, the way we manage images for things like this is using an image list, T-image list. It's a non-visual component here. You can drop one on the form, double-click on it, and it brings up our image list editor. Now, what I can do is I can add images to the list. Now, there's some things about an image list you need to know. One of them is each image has to be exactly the same size, because internally an image list is stored as a long strip, single long strip of bitmap. So they all have to be the same size, because the bitmap has to be cut up according to the specific size of the images. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go to the Program Files directory here, into the Common Files directory, Borland Shared, Images, and we're going to go to glyphfx, and we're going to look for some icons. Well, specifically, if we'll look for, say, 16 by 16 bitmaps, and the one we're looking for, what is File New? So I'm going to go ahead and find which one I'm sure will be called File New. Uh-oh. Oh, there it is. We'll go ahead and call it New Document. Which one do we like better? We'll go with the darker one here, the H version. And we'll put that in there here as the item. And the transparent background color is fuchsia. So therefore, the colors that you see in the background there is, we won't see anything in the background. We noticed when we previewed it, the background was the fuchsia color there. But since it selects the transparent color as fuchsia, it provides a transparent background. So we will go ahead and add that in to our image directory, image list, and you'll notice that it's at index 0, and that's going to be our File New icon. So what we can do now is we can go to our action list, We'll bring that open and we'll go File and we'll select a new action and we'll set its image index to 0. And we will also then go and select the images property of the action list itself to be point to image list 1. And we'll also have the Toolbar's images property point to image list 1. And now you'll notice that our button has a little image on it. And it will do exactly what the action says to do, i.e. File New. So we can do the same thing for, say, let's look and see the Open property. We can add in an image for New Document, Open Document, like so. We'll call that the Open Document image. And now we can come in and we can select the action for, File Open, set its set the action's image index to 1, and we end up with a nice little item there in that image as well. Now the main image, the main menu also has images, so we can point it to image 1, and now you should see at design time the image editor doesn't show. The main menus editor, doesn't show the items, but when we run it, you'll notice that they also appear on the menus. So now I'm going to go offline real quick and I'm going to add in the rest of the menu items for us right now, so they're there. They'll all be done the same way. Okay, I'm back and I've added a whole bunch of graphic pictures in here, and I just wanted to show you how they get hooked up real quick. I might show a couple and then again disappear. Added a couple of new buttons in here with a division in here. Let's see, we'll add some more new buttons. And some of these buttons are showing up because they have default values. Some of the pictures are showing up because they have default values on their image index properties. So we'll go ahead and move them around a little bit. Let's see, we got cut. The action here should be attached to edit cut, and edit cut should have an image index. Edit cut should have an image index property set to the cut button there. Delete should have one set to the delete image here. Edit undo should be, we'll use what's the undo arrow there, and then edit paste. Oh, you know what? I didn't add one for paste. I'll go do that here in a minute. Copy. I got one for copy. Classic copy. Oh no, paste. Yeah, I did have paste. I'm sorry. The paste is one of the clipboard. Paste from clipboard. And we don't have one for select all, but that's all right. We'll survive without one. And now that those images are set up, you should see the image edit as we attach cut. We'll attach copy. Whoops. Hang on. What do we got going here? Let's see. We'll add a new button here. We'll add the copy image. Slide it over to copy. We already have copy. This one we'll do paste there, and then the file exit we'll make sure is file exit, and then somehow the file exit, the file exit image is not attached properly for some reason. We'll check and see. There it is, file exit. This one should be file exit, and for reasons unknown it is not showing the right image. Let's see if it does it at runtime. It does at runtime. At design time it's not following the right picture. Let's see, maybe if we go off the code and come back. No, it doesn't want to do it. Or maybe it's on, oh, here we go, it's in an overridden. Well, it just flat out doesn't want to do it, does it? Alright, well, be that as it may, we are easily and quickly, again it should show up right at design to at runtime, and indeed it does. The cool thing is you'll notice that even these images here since there's nothing selected in the edit button, these images are disabled. But if I were to go in and select something, you notice that they appear and active and inactive as I do it. If I were to copy them things here, then of course the paste button would become correct, and I can continue to paste here. So I think I'm going to take a little break, go offline here, and create and hook up all the rest of these buttons as well. Okay, I'm back, and I've pretty much completed the toolbar. It was just a lot of busy work, so I didn't want to bore you with it. But basically, what I did was I created a tool button on the toolbar that pointed to each of the following items, and then I would come over, and since this is supposed to be the search again button, we can attach it and go to or find next. We can attach it and go to the find next, and the find next image appears here. And I was able to fix the file exit button as well by just deleting it. Some setting must have gotten disconnected or discombobulated somehow. And then the tool buttons all correspond to the menu items, and the image list points to both items, so the toolbars and the tool buttons. And so we can use the toolbar buttons to create new ones, or we can open up text files using the buttons. We can create new items using the menus or the buttons. Okay, and that's an example of you building a toolbar, adding a functionality to it by purely using actions. This particular demo, we didn't write any code. All we did was we accessed the power of the actions by hooking them up to buttons on a toolbar. Thus we have a nice, neat little Notepad clone that actually has a little bit more functionality than Notepad. So that wraps it up for this version of Turbo Delphi Demos. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.